Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bigfoot Cooking, where today we are turning popcorn into gourmet grits. Yeah, bet you didn't know grits actually came from popcorn. Ooh, and I'll tell you what, this recipe is so simple, so good, and so cheap. That's right. You can call this a budget meal if you wanted to. Takes a little time, not too complicated, and the ingredient list isn't even that big. Now, for today's ingredients, we're missing something. Why are we missing it? Raya. What's a Raya? A Raya is a German Shepherd puppy. A Raya also knows how to jump up on this table and eat the bacon. I don't have any bacon. It's gone. It ate it all. I love my dog, but. So that's our mystery ingredient that was supposed to be in this meal, but it's out the door now. So that being said, let's prepare the rest of the things sans bacon. Now, to start this out, we got ourselves a cup of popcorn. This is just your old, in the bag, nothing too fancy. It's actually going to make a yellow grit. Now, you could get different gourmet popcorns if you wanted to, but you're not really going to notice a difference with everything else we got going on. So, ingredient list. We have 1 cup of popcorn. Hold on. Actually, if you wanted to cheat that, you could just go ahead and get grits, but I mean, come on. This is not how we do around here. We do everything with the hard way. So back to the ingredient list. We have our 1 cup of popcorn, or about 1.5 cups of store-bought grits, 3 cups of chicken or vegetable broth, depending on your flavor, half a stick of butter, a cup of heavy cream, a pound of sausage, bacon if you can keep it away from the dog, a cup of cheese, and then from there, it's whatever flavor enhancements you want to get. For this one, I'm just going to use some jalapeno and some spring onion. But believe me, dude, nothing stops you from putting like egg in here, hash browns, mushrooms. I mean, you could garbage up this whole meal to make it a complete dinner meal if you wanted to. We're just going to try to keep this simple, keep it elegant, shall we say. So we've got all our stuff laid out here. Step 1 in this, and again, because we're doing this the hard way, we're gonna grind our corn. That's right, hand ground grits. Ain't we living the fancy life? Now let me go ahead and kind of move some of this stuff and lock this thing down, and we're gonna make us some real grits. If you bought it, you can skip ahead and take it from there, but come on. The fans of the show, y'all know I got this here grain mill. We're gonna put it to work. All right, so for those of you who know, we went to Michigan a little while back, and we stopped up in Ohio in Kittredge at Lehman's. They are this huge Amish store, and they have everything that if the zombies come, you're good to go. And one of the things I picked up was this grain mill. And I'll tell you what, I have really liked it. I've kind of played with it some more, figured out how to dial it in, things, blah, 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 blah. But for making grits, perfect. Let me show you how I dial this in. Again, everybody's got their own way, but you got your crank here. If I can hold it here and let it go and it just fall, I want it to where when I let go, it just stays. That's kind of my 0 point. So let me set that real quick. And it stays. All right. So to me, that's my 0 point. Now to make grits, I'm going to turn this until it clicks 8 times. All right. And of course, the handle falls, but that gets my plates the distance apart I need. So now, in with our 1 cup of popcorn. And from here, time for the gun show. It just occurred to me, why am I doing this? I got a buddy who owes me a favor. Be right back. I can't believe you suckered me into this. The things you do for friends. Ugh, Chef, you owe me big for this. Ta-da! All finished. I don't know what Chef's complaining about. That's like 3 minutes of work. I need to go find him. I think he's eating my snacks. All right, So first off, no, I didn't touch his snacks. Let's just be clear. Second of all, yeah, it only takes about 3 minutes. So you're not grinding this into flour by making it into the more gritty grit. Well, you know, it's not as difficult and it doesn't take as long. Now, the one thing I have noticed about this too, as opposed to putting it in a blender, I don't have to sift this. This is really good grit as it is. So yes, there is a little bit of flour in it. I could sort it out some, but by the time I cook it and everything, it'll never be noticed. Now, we started out, like I said, with 1 cup. So let's see how much we made with that 1 cup. All right, so we have us right at 1.5 cups. It's just a shade more, but I could pack it down and make it, you know, 1.25 cups, or I could stiff it. I could shift it around a little here and make it 1 3/4. So we're just gonna call this 1.5 cups, which is what we're after. So now that that's done, this is where those of you who skipped ahead will catch up, but you missed something. So now we got that going. Let's go ahead and start. If I had bacon, Raya, if I had bacon, I would go ahead and fry it up now, but I still have my sausage and I do want to brown it. So let's get us a little bit of a fire going here. We'll turn this down to about a medium. And I do like a high-sided cast iron because it is really good at not splattering everywhere. So that's heating up. Let's go ahead and do a little chop suey. You know, it's funny, this is what we made our breakfast with this morning. I still had a little bit of the sausage oil in it, so it smells a little sausagey too. Tell you what, that's the good thing about cooking. You can take things and just mix flavor with flavor and, you know, do a little combinations of this and that, and before you know it, you got yourself something good enough to write home to mama about. Now, all I'm really trying to do here, the sausage here is actually already cooked. I could just plop it in there, but I'm wanting to get those little crispy bits, little burned ends kind of deal, you know what I'm saying? So once we get this fried up, then we'll start making our grits. If you're doing this on the stovetop and not in front of a camera, I could have both of these going on at the same time, but I only got one of those, so I work with what I got. Y'all see this, right? She's sitting there. She smells the cooking. As if bacon wasn't good enough. Oh no, she's gotta have some more. And I don't think she cares. All right, everybody looks happy. Let me go ahead and flame off. That way we can carry over cook just a little bit. You know, save just that small amount of electricity or propane or whatever magic fairy dust that they've got running in here. We'll go ahead and take these off. We will let them drain, and they don't have to, but they'll cool off a little bit while we're doing the rest of this. Like I say again, if I was stove topping, well, we'd have 2 burners and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. The things I do for y'all. All right, let's switch out the old flaming pot. Put our heat back on. All right, and now we're gonna add, in this case, I'm using chicken broth. I wish I could say this was some of my homemade stuff, but I'm out right now. I haven't got around to making any more of it, so we can just thank the gods of the can making for this one. All right, and to that, I'm gonna add a 1/2 stick of butter. Now, grits are one of those things that everyone has a recipe, everybody's mama did it different, everybody this, that, and the other. If you feel led putting a whole stick of butter in there, well, child, go forth, do not let me stop you. If you feel like putting no butter in there, you're broke and you need Jesus. Oh, and another thing, if you put sugar in this at any time, y'all done made a very, very large mistake. All right, sugar does not go in grits. I know that's how you do it up north, but let me tell you something. As a Georgia resident, born here, lived here, you don't do it. Matter of fact, little funny story. When I joined the Army and we're going through basic training, there was a guy in front of me in line, and they're, you know, serving out chow as we go along, right? And of course the guy's like, you know, you want eggs, you want bacon, you want grits. And I swear this guy was like holding his plate and he's like, what the hell is a grit? That boy got taught something that day. He learned. I'm not saying he learned everything he needed to know in life, but he did learn a little something that day. Now we're just gonna heat this up until the butter melts. So, like I say, no big rush. This is not instant grits. This ain't like, we ready? No. This is proper made. This is Southern style. This is taking it easy. This is doing it right. This is kind of getting a little hungry in the middle of it too. You know, it's funny, this is Raya's first appearance on the show, and she don't know what to do. She's like under my feet, she's moving around. She's just waiting on that food to drop. She hadn't learned. What happened? She gotta wait for the end. I gotta make it, I gotta display it, I gotta do all the things before we get to that. All right, now while we're waiting on this to hot up a little bit, let's go ahead and do a little prep on our veggies. This is one of those, again, how hot do you want? Do you not want? You don't have to use jalapeno, but you know, nothing like a little good flavor in something, right? Nothing like, now I'm not saying go get, you know, scorpion peppers and drop them in there, but in all honesty, one jalapeno in this whole big mix, you ain't even gonna notice it. I mean, it's just gonna add a little flavor to it, but it's not gonna, you know, kick you in the back of the mouth until you run to the bowl the next day with a tray of ice cubes. All right, we're starting to get our boil on. That's right, our chicken broth. And again, if you wanted vegetarian, you could even go vegetable broth, but oh, the flavor you're missing out on. This is starting to boil up. We can go ahead and take our home ground. I mean, unless you went store-bought. You didn't do that, did you? And we're gonna pour it in. Whoop. And like you see, it gets thick in the middle quick. So we gotta go ahead and give her a stir. Make sure all of our grits get wet. Now, when you first look at this, you're like, bro, you just made soup. No, that corn's gonna absorb it and suck in all that chicken broth flavor and whatever other flavor you use. It's gonna be so good. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and crack in a little pepper at this stage. And again, this is one of those, however much you wanna add. Sometimes you add a little, sometimes you add a lot. I don't know if you can add too much, but I guess it's possible. All right, so we got everybody mixed together and kind of hot. I'm gonna turn this flame down a little bit. I'm gonna let it simmer on kind of a low temperature, and we're gonna give it maybe 5-10 minutes and we'll check back with it. But now you gotta stir it in that time. You can't just walk away. You can take a minute or two break, but you've got to stir this. Otherwise, well, everything will stick to the bottom. You don't want that. All right, so we had this going for about 10 minutes and it didn't get soft. It wasn't doing right. So I actually wound up having to add another cup of water to the mix. So that way the corn, the grit had enough to absorb to soften up. So right now we've got some really good grits. Do need to salt it a little bit because, you know, as you cook and stir and what have you, it just needs a little more. So we'll get this mixed in. And if we're tasting right, well, next comes the cream. All right, close enough for now. We'll go ahead and add our whipping cream in here. Now what this will do, this will give it that mouth feel that you like, that like comfort food aspect to it. So we'll get this mixed in nice and easy. Let that come up to a little heat. And this is the point where I'm gonna drop in my jalapenos so that way they can soften up just a little bit. Now again, I only used one big jalapeno. The me would add 3 or 4, but I gotta feed more than me in this house. All right, let's see what we got. Get a little sample here. All right, not too bad. Time to add a little cheese. Now this is where you could add a, you know, cup of cheese or, you know, cup or more of cheese or, you know, a bunch of cheese. Cheese it up how you like. It's not quite mac and cheese, but I mean, grit and cheese is pretty good. And don't forget, there's a ton of different cheeses you could use. I mean, like I say, this is like the 3 cheese mix like you put on tacos, but man, if you put some smoked Gouda in here, or, you know, just so many options. Do what you like, you know, make it yours. Do your flavor. Oh, look at that right there. Creamy. Oh, so good. And the funny thing is, like right here, it's like that representation of matter. You know, right now it's sort of a liquid, but when this stuff cools off, well, then it thickens up, and that's where you get that. I don't know. I like it when it's that between temperature where it's still warm and it's so thick you could eat it with a fork. You know, you just kind of like mashed potatoes, you can pull it up. That's when it's right. All right, we're gonna go ahead and add in a whole mess of our meat products. Sure wish I had bacon, but you know, that's another sad story for some other time. And again, like I say, don't let this fool you. You can add so much more to this. You could flavor this up however you like. I mean, of course you could put shrimp in here, but you know, don't forget you could even put pieces of steak in here. You could put mushrooms. I don't know if you could put papaya, but nothing's stopping you. All right, we've given our glorious bounty of goodness here a few minutes to cool down because, well, yeah, this stuff is served at the temperature of the sun, not good for the palate. So let's go ahead, we'll scoop us up a little bit of this goodness. Oof. I'll tell you what, the way grits is supposed to be. Let's see, make sure I get some of the sausage and some of the, oh yeah, there's no bacon. Let's see, I think I need maybe another ring or two of, you know, jalapeno just for the look. Let's see, let's make a pretty thumbnail here. A couple of them, another little pinch of cheese for the top of it. And let's see, let me go ahead and take me a little spring onion. And let's see, about that much of it right there. And we'll just drop it from up high. Woo! Y'all, welcome to grits. Properly done. Gourmet even. Now again, if you have something else you like to do to them, do not be afraid to experiment. Grits is a very forgiving food. I mean, you can load this stuff with everything. Matter of fact, oh, hold on. I even get this stuff from Lane's. It's called Spellbound. They ain't sponsoring the show, but oh, I love their seasoning. We're gonna add a little red dust into the top here. Yes, sir. Now we're getting somewhere. A little bite of jalapeno, a little bite of Spellbound, some cheese, a little piece of sausage. Watch out, tummy, here it comes. This is heaven in a bowl, y'all. Heaven in a bowl. Now, when it comes to grits, serving size matters. For some, this may be a serving size. For others, that may be a serving size. I mean, you get a bunch of good old Southern boys together and you start feeding them, they can get real hungry real quick. And you know what happens when their bellies get full? Well, they all know that Bigfoot is real. Y'all take care. I'm gonna stay right here. Grab me this bowl, grab me another bowl, might grab me a third bowl before I get out of here. And it just ain't that interesting watching me eat. We ain't doing a mukbang. Y'all take care. I'm eating. We can go ahead and take our homegrown, let's see. My battery done died. Good thing I got everything in the pot.